Welcome to the You're Worth It podcast. I think this is actually like episode 3 for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've done 2.
I think so.
Man, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been about a month or more.
Or more. For sure, I feel like it's like about 6 weeks, but that's okay.
It's because you're busy. And all the time I'm like, hey, can we record a podcast? And you're like, yeah, sure.
We're shooting for consistency here. And I'm actually very excited because we're starting a new series. And I think this series is going to be continuing like for a long time because I'm so excited about it.
It's called?
Top 10.
Would it technically be bottom 10 as well?
Sure. Sometimes we'll be going over the bottom 10, but I'm just going to call it top 10 with Brad and Aubrie.
Okay.
And it's going to be about anything and everything. And today we are going over the top 10 reasons to be an influencer.
Even though I'd hardly call us influencers anymore, but...
Hey, we've been in this since 2016.
Yeah, May of 2016.
I think we got our first like sponsorship, like paid sponsorship in 2016.
Oh, really? We did in 2016?
Didn't we? Or was PE Science first?
No, Junk Brands was the first one.
Junk Brands, wow.
Junk Brands was your first sponsorship, and then Run Everything Labs.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably Balance, which is now Vitality.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember all this. Yeah, and then we went on a road trip.
And then we got sponsored by PE Science on the road trip.
Swapped to PE Science.
And started Fat and Weird. Started Fat and Weird, then swapped to PE Science.
Yeah.
So...
Which brings me to our first point, okay? It's not the number one reason. We're going to say the number one reason for last.
And they're not in any order other than probably like the number one.
Yeah. We're going to save the number one for last. But the first one on our list is, and I quote, free shit.
Yeah. Aubrie wanted to just say free shit. So.
For lack of a better term. You do get freebies. You get companies sending you things so that you can either try them, post about them. I think the hope is always that you post about them, but we have always told companies like, if we don't like them, we're probably not going to post about it. Cause you probably don't want us posting if it's going to be a negative review. Well,
we always wanted it to like organically be something that we would use or utilize. So there's a lot of stuff that we've got sent that we've never posted about.
Back when we started, I feel like nobody really got paid to show a product. And now that is like, that's what happens. You
either get paid or you got some kind of commission for showing a product. Yeah.
Before it was like, hey, can we just send you this? Like, if you like it, post about it. And now, we try to do that with Fat and Weird, and even like really small accounts are like, yeah, if you pay me.
Yeah, there was an account that literally had like 5,000 followers that wanted $400 to post, I think, or $250, and I was just like, what is the world coming to?
Well, yeah, it's just that's strange.
I'm really happy with free things. So
yeah, if I like it, especially let's say if it's for Letty, that kind of thing, like yeah, I'm gonna capitalize on getting some free diapers or body wash or whatever it is. So. And then give my honest review.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? What is the most favorite thing that you like, favorite product that you've been given for free?
Well, it wasn't completely free, but the computer. This one.
It's like at a reduced price.
Yeah. It was essentially like 33% off. So it essentially got built and sent to me for the cost of what it would have cost me to buy all the parts. So essentially the labor of putting it together and all the extra stuff was free. So
I think my favorite is, the coolest thing, like obviously we have a sauna that's pretty awesome, but we haven't used it yet because it's really hot out right now. But I think we're going to use it in the fall and winter. But I would say like maybe the Tempo workout machine or the Freebeat bike. So some kind of like workout machine is my favorite, or like the coolest.
Yeah, if Royal Caribbean would give us a free cruise, then that would be the coolest.
I think that was always the goal of ours. Is like, let's get travel in. Yeah. Which brings me to my next thing. Which is travel opportunities. I think one of the coolest things about being an influencer is sometimes you get invited to things, you get like, you know, opportunities to travel, and you know, whether you're reviewing restaurants or you're like us who do fitness, like you're, you know, going to be invited to a gym opening or a new restaurant opening. So it's like there's a lot of opportunities, I guess, no matter what your niche is.
Yeah, we got invited actually to a restaurant opening, remember? In
Houston. Yeah, that was fun.
But in general, like obviously I think the coolest place we've ever been invited was FIBO, like Germany. Mm-hmm. That was absolutely a really fun trip, so cool. In general. And I think it's, you know, obviously going to places like where you don't have to pay for your trip all the way to Germany was a nice touch.
Well, I never even, honestly, totally being honest here, like I never saw myself even traveling out of the country. Like it was definitely a desire, but like I kind of put it off as kind of like, that's probably never going to happen for me. So to have it happen, that's so cool. And obviously I know I traveled with you out of the country
on cruises and stuff, but it's not quite the same. Yeah. I feel like flying to Europe is different than going
like on a 12-hour flight. That's like something I never thought I'd get to do. So
yeah.
And then I'm so sad because that trip was right before COVID. And I'm pretty sure on that trip we talked about, like, I think the next expo was like in Dubai. We're like, oh my gosh, what if we get to go to Dubai? Remember that?
Was that before COVID?
Yeah.
Really? No way.
What happened right after that then?
Oh, I don't know.
Because we planned on going to Germany the year later. And then it didn't happen.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So I think it was like Germany in the fall, then COVID started in that spring, and then Germany did not happen that fall. Yeah. So, yeah.
Maybe it was. Yeah, you know what? It was my 33rd birthday that we were flying the whole time. So it was 2 years ago. So it would have been 2020? No, it was maybe
feels like a long
birthday.
Time ago.
It would have been 2019. It would have been April of 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. Yeah, because Josh called me. He was like at USPS digging through packages to find a mega cookie because he like accidentally like put the wrong shipping label on it or something like that. I remember because it was like such a big time zone difference, and we were checking in on Fat and Weird because it was our baby, you know. So it was, it was definitely 2019. Carlos is telling us it was 2019. He knows all about it. Hey,
Carlos.
Because that was the Chris Elkins drama.
Oh, yeah. I remember all that.
Well, I guess that brings us to the next point is that you get to, well, no, we can't say that yet. Have to wait.
So.
Well, I guess you could say that it brings us to the next point. You get to create your own schedule, kind of, depending on where you are at and influencing.
You could live in Germany if you wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no like location requirement if you're an influencer.
I would say it helps to be in a bigger city.
Well, unless you're like a Houston foodie, then you'd obviously have to live in Houston.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. Like, I know a couple fitness influencers that are from like small towns, and I would say it's a little bit harder for them to like create interesting content because there's not a lot to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would say live in a bigger place. That's great, but you get to live wherever you want.
Yeah, you do have the ability to kind of live where you want and live somewhere where there's a lower cost of living, because it's not like, you know, where jobs are like, oh, we pay you more because you live in this city. Like someone that's like working with you as an influencer isn't going to like all of a sudden give you more commission or give you more money just because of where you live. It's all based on like your audience per se.
Yeah.
So
choose wisely. Which brings me to the next is possibly starting your own brand and company.
Yeah.
Which we did.
Yeah.
We did that with Fat Weird Cookie.
Well, our first thing would be Determine Your Worth, which does business as Memories Over Macros, which is our online coaching business. And it's kind of like our entity, which if you want a business lesson, it's kind of like our entity also for all of our sponsorships and contracts. So I kind of call Determine Your Worth or Memories Over Macros as our internet social media business. So like that's where all of our sponsorships technically go through. That's where online coaching goes through. That's the YouTube channel goes through. All
I think
that
of
stuff
it as like an umbrella, and then everything else is underneath.
Yeah, I would call that like our main social media umbrella.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is Determine Your Worth or Memories Over Macros.
Yeah, and I don't remember like at what. I remember specifically not being able to sleep one night. We still lived in Houston. We weren't married yet, I don't think. But I was like, I couldn't sleep because I was thinking so much and inspired so much to start something like Memories Over Macros. And it wasn't that I wasn't like satisfied with Determine Your Worth coaching, but it was a lot of like one-on-one, right? You're just working with your client. And I wanted there to be an experience for people that's like, yes, you have a coach, but you also have a community. And you also get to learn about like actual like long-term success and like being able to eat on holidays, being able to eat, like going out with your husband, like, you know, celebrating those times and not having to sacrifice those like memories. So I think my first step was like, I think that was like just a challenge that I did. It was just Memories Over Macros challenges.
I remember when you brought that up and it was because you said the thing you missed the most about CrossFit was the community that you have. And you're like, I wish that you could create the community of CrossFit with like bodybuilding, you know, that space, I guess.
Yeah. So. I remember literally just like mapping it all out, writing it down. I mean, it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, I can't sleep, and went back to bed. And then that same morning, I like, when we woke up together, I like told you all about it. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. So I don't know, when you're that inspired by something, you should probably do it. And I'm so glad I did it. 'Cause I have had like a couple things that I've been like inspired to start, but I never did it. And of course now looking back, I kind of regret it, but that's one thing I can honestly say. Like if you can't sleep because you're so inspired by something, you better do it.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way about Fat and Weird?
Yeah, I mean, I was really stoked about it. Fat and Weird is a lot sometimes, you know, but
yeah, I know.
Sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I started Fat and Weird. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking starting Fat and Weird? So,
which brings me to the next point. Another reason to be an influencer, self-employment. Now, you could argue that this is like also a negative, which we're going to get into that next podcast. It's going to be the top 10 reasons not to be an influencer. But I would say self-employment is pretty great. I mean, we worked for the man for a while.
Yeah, I think the nice part about self-employment is obviously like you feel directly rewarded for the work that you put into things. But there's also the negative of self-employment. And that's like the fact of, you know, you tend to like work around the clock. The thing is your baby, so you have a lot more care and concern about it than everyone else does.
Nobody will ever care about your business
as much
the
as
way that you do.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Well, no one else really has a stake in it, you know, so that's why they don't care as much.
Yeah, even if you give people a stake, I feel like it's hard. It's still hard for them to, you know.
I agree.
Because you didn't build it from the ground up. You know?
I will say that that's similar to the possibly start your own brand and company thing.
Yeah.
But the difference is like when you're an influencer, like you obviously can work with a lot of brands and not have to really do anything. You don't have to worry about any of the back end. You don't have to worry about the operations, the hiring employees and things like that. And then you make a commission, and a lot of people love that lifestyle, and they would never want to start their own companies, because when you start your own company, you've got to source the products and the goods and worry about employment. And there's a lot more. Obviously, it's more lucrative. There's more money involved in that, but there's a lot more work, way more work.
Yeah, I'm naturally not a risk taker. I am pretty happy in like the 9 to 5 working for the man, you know, technically. I mean, yeah, I think speech language pathology was great because it didn't really feel like you were just making money for someone else, you know. It didn't really feel like that. I feel like the medical field is good that way, but somewhere like where you worked as an engineer, it was like, I mean, you're literally just making money for other people.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part about that is just like I didn't feel any job satisfaction either. So
yeah,
and I think that makes it a lot harder. So
I'm a safe person, you're a risk taker, so it's a good combo. So the next thing is one of Brad's favorite reasons.
Yeah, it's definitely my top 3. And that's, that you can you have an audience to either ask help or get information from. For example, like when, Adobe kept crashing on me and I was like, does anyone know what's going on? Or when we're like, hey, we're going to go vacation here. Like, where's the good food spots? I think that's probably like my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things, is like the audience that you have to engage with. So, yeah, I mean, that's like a huge thing for me.
Yeah, Brad, I remember when we started, like in 2016, he was like, Aubrie, I just want to have a big enough following where I can just ask a question and get, like a plethora of answers to help me.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I never really thought about it, but it's kind of like your own little Google that you trust a little bit more, especially as a mom now. It can go both ways, but I ask questions, and people are great about giving really good, solid advice because they've been there.
Well, it's not just Google. Like, you can obviously Google best restaurants somewhere, but like we know now, like how much that is affected by someone spending money on ads and like all this other stuff, and personal experience. Someone's like, yeah, that restaurant was great a year ago, but the chef left and now it sucks. So it's still got 5 stars on Google, but it's going downhill, Yeah. So, or like, this is the things that like no one knows about, like, hey, do this when you go to this place, like do this because no one knows about it.
Yeah. That part's cool.
So
that part's cool.
Yeah.
It's cooler than Google.
Yeah.
Dr. Google. Which brings me to my next point, which is number 7 on the list. Number 7 is, you get to document everything.
Yeah. I think that's the coolest part is that Aubrie and I can look back and like see our house in Houston. We can look at when we first got Miley. We can see when we first had Letty. We can see like all kinds of different phases in our life. We can watch Fat and Weird be built. We can watch me put on a smile for the camera, but we're going through battling some mental demons the entire time I was building the Fat and Weird facility.
Gosh, looking like a homeless person with your beard and long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually haven't gone back on YouTube and watched because, what kind of time do I have? I like to watch shows, so why would I like to watch something I already experienced?
But it's all there, though.
But we should. What if it like disappears?
Well, do you remember when we watched your reaction to trying Chick-fil-A for the first time? That's there.
That's true.
You weren't even impressed with Chick-fil-A.
Sometimes I'm like, how stupid were we?
Yeah.
We did some stupid stuff. But we were young. We were babies.
Well, I think a lot of it is too, just like you're figuring it out and it's all documented. You figuring it out, So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool once you think about it.
Yeah. It is.
I guess if you don't have a YouTube channel though, it's a little bit harder to document, but like I can go back. I think now on Instagram, look at our old posts. It's like 4 years though, like on Insta stories, I think you can dig up. It might be 3 years, but you can't get anywhere past that.
Well, on a lot of it too, it'll give you like on this day, this was your post 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I showed you that one about us working out at Phoenix Gym here with Jennifer, like right after we got engaged. It was like July 5th or something.
I have the worst memory. So something like a picture like triggers, that memory to flood back. But otherwise, like if you brought it up, I'd be like, oh, I have a hard time remembering that.
But no, that's a definite plus. So
yeah, for sure. All right, you pick out of these two. We got 2 more, and then the number 1 reason to be an influencer.
So I'll go ahead and special treatment that you get. It is true. I feel like you do get special treatment. For example, we were in Washington, D.C. on a road trip, and the girl recognized us and like took us past the barriers to like walk up the Capitol steps.
That was so cool.
We were on the Delta flight, and the guy was like recognized us, and he like gave us bonus miles, like put it on our account just because. When we went to New York City and we went to the bagel maker or the bagel store or whatever, and they took us in the back and made a rainbow bagel for us, and like we got to go around behind the counter. There's just like scenarios like that, I guess, that feel like you get treated special.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. Maybe we get a couple extra things here and there or something. Someone like leaving cookies at your hotel room or something, But yeah, even like when you go to an expo and
people bring you stuff like donuts. People bring you stuff,
because it's your favorite. Like, how cool is that? Like a stranger knows your favorite thing and brings it to you. Like, come on, that's really freaking cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if I can say anything more about that because it's just it's cool.
It is what it is. Like you get special treatment. So,
and then second to last, before we say our number 1, is something that I brought up. I actually kind of count on my followers for some accountability and support. The support, obviously, like that's pretty clear how you get that. Like, you know, go Aubrie, postpartum, like you can do it, that kind of thing. But the accountability, I don't think a lot of people really realize or know about. I don't think everybody's like this, but there are so many days where I'm like, man, I really don't want to go to the gym today, but I got to record and I got to post this and I'm going to do it because people are counting on me to go. And I'm going to do it because I can't just be sitting on my couch and then telling other people to go to the gym, you know? So I do feel like it is a form of accountability for me.
Well, and in the support aspect, you could also talk about supporting your business, supporting your decisions, you know, things like that. Like, oh, I think you did a really good job. Or like someone just said in chat, they're like, I really love the back wall. Like that's support, like, you know, like recognition of like, oh, you did a good job on something, you know? And so obviously that's nice. But also we can talk about on the negatives, how that there's two sides to every coin, but we won't get into that yet. We're not,
we'll save it for next week.
We're teasing it a little bit, but yeah, I think the obviously accountability from a standpoint of like just doing things and saying like, hey, I really want to do this. And this whole group's like, hey, you said you're going to do this. When are you going to do it? You know, is, you know, it's a nice thing to have. And then, like I said, the support of just like, so people supporting your business, people supporting, you know, congratulating you when you have a baby or, you know, things like that. And then also back to what we were talking about, special treatment / free shit, like people sending Letty stuff for her birthday. Like it's crazy that people want to do that. I mean,
so nice.
Yeah.
People are so nice. That's actually one thing that I learned on our road trip. Like I thought that stopping at people's houses, stopping in certain cities and doing meetups, like I thought there was going to be some weirdos. I'm not gonna lie.
People were legitimately like, I can't believe you're going to do this. They're like, someone's going to murder you.
Yeah, like so scary. Like stop posting about where you're staying, that kind of thing. And nobody was weird. Maybe one person. Not even, I can't even remember a weirdo. Everybody was so nice and so great.
Yeah, for real.
It was awesome. I mean, maybe the weirdos were like hanging out, just like spying on us or something in the trees.
Who knows? But it brings us to our number one.
Number one.
I wonder if anyone's going to be able to guess the number one reason. Is there something that we haven't said that you think is a top 10 reason to be an influencer that we didn't mention? It'd be interesting to hear just from like people's standpoint that are not influencers, or maybe they're influencers too. You know,
one thing that I am thinking about that doesn't really matter to us truly, but I think it matters to maybe younger people is the fame. I think that being quote unquote like semi-famous is like really motivating for people.
Well, I mean, like I think I prefer these perks over the actual fame.
Right. That's why it didn't make our list. But I think there are some people that are like, yeah, the fame, it feels good to be noticed.
Like recognized in public and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is cool to be recognized in public, but that's not a reason that like it doesn't trump any of these other things in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Number one. I wish I knew what the buttons were, because I think there's a drum roll button.
Oh God, we can't test it. We need to label the buttons.
Yeah. Can I look it up, you think? Okay.
Wow, we're really teasing you guys here.
I know. I want to find out if there's a drum roll
I'll just
button.
drum with my lips.
With your lips?
Yeah, like.
I'm going to type it in. Rode Procaster buttons.
I'm curious to see if people are going to guess.
I don't think anyone's going to guess in the chat. So,
maybe they're going to guess while they're sitting there in their car listening to music on their way to work or listening to the podcast.
I wish that someone would have like just popped up a cheat sheet that told you what they were, because I typed in the Rode Procaster and it's like not opening, and then I don't know, maybe the guide has it. Was that 7?
7?
Sound pads. That's why. It's because I didn't type in sound pads.
Oh my gosh, Brad, we can't.
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
This is Brad's personality right here.
Yeah, I like want to find this drum roll, and now everyone's going to be like, drum rolls are overrated now. I'm already lost interest in everything that you're doing. What is that? Oh no, don't do that. Can you read these? Laughter. I can't read them.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we just did that for nothing. Sorry.
All right. I'm going to drum.
Okay.
with my mouth. Drum, 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 drum. And the number one reason to be an influencer is networking. You meet some cool ass people, okay? That is literally what I wrote down. You meet some cool ass people, including, I mean, not even like other influencers that are quote unquote famous. You just meet really cool people that like we're still friends with.
Yeah,
people
like
that
for
came
example,
to our meetups.
yeah, when we did the road trip and we did the meetups, that's like we met. Well, first off, our first meetup ever, we met our friends Aubrie and Natalie, who have hung out with us a lot. I mean, they came to Texas for my birthday one year. We go visit them. So
we were invited to their wedding. We couldn't go because I just had Letty. You know, now they're gonna have their first baby, and we're like, I mean, so excited for them. So
yeah, so that
I mean, like we parked at Megan and Jesse's house. Now they're some of our like really good friends.
And then obviously we know other influencers like, you know, Christian Guzman and Shali and Russell and Nick Bear and Heidi and
Cass
Martin and Jay Cutler, and
we're just trying to think of like
Robin Daniel Bailey,
big following people.
You know,
yeah, and countless others.
Max Tuning,
all the people at Vitality, like Body Fit Balance.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's the coolest part is networking. So not just with influencers, but you guys as well. I think that is my number one thing. So.
I will say that a couple influencers that I've met are more of introverts, and I actually think that that's true for most influencers. I think that they are like typically perfectionist introverts because, like, why wouldn't it be okay to like just re-record their stories? Like, it's very premeditated almost.
Yeah,
it can be, at least.
I'm a one and done guy. I didn't realize that people literally like re-recorded stuff until I hung out with Nick Bear, and he recorded like a piece like 3 different times, and I was like, nah, man, I just one and done. Like if I mess up, it's in there, you know, like. Andre just texted me, listening to the podcast. Love you, buddy.
Oh, see?
So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah.
Meet some cool ass people. No, I don't remember. Oh, yes. So the introverts,
well, sometimes
like maybe
you meet
this wouldn't be in their top 10 because they don't want to meet people.
Yeah, it's really weird when we meet influencers and they're like, I feel like they don't like being influencers from like the audience standpoint. Like they like all the other reasons we've mentioned, but they don't like the people that support them. I don't know how to say it, but like they don't want to meet you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't.
It makes them nervous and anxious.
Yeah,
I think
it sounds really bad when you say it that way. But
I don't think that they're like ungrateful. It's just like they don't want.
Yeah, they'd rather not meet you.
Like,
they'd rather thank you for supporting me, but I don't want to meet you.
They don't want to talk about the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it is true. You do talk about the same thing a lot. You know, like at Expo, it's like it starts out with like, "Hey, how are you? What's your name? Where are you from?
Are you from around here? How long did you drive?" Like I have so many questions that I usually ask.
Well, yeah,
wow, that sounds like a long drive.
I think that's what you're doing. You're like trying to find a like commonality, right? So it's just like
it's chit chat.
When they're like, "Oh, I'm from Florida," you're like, "Oh, where in Florida?" You know, or if someone's like, "Oh, I'm from Montana," like Aubrey's like, "Oh, where in Montana?" You know, so you're just like trying to find the commonality. Obviously, you have the commonality of like fitness, probably, but yeah. So there's like that aspect of it too. But yeah, so let's run through the list again.
Number 1, free shit.
Well, not number 1, but.
Okay, number 1, absolute number 1 reason to be an influencer for us, at least,
is networking.
Meet some cool ass people.
Yeah.
Other reasons, in no particular order: get free stuff, be sponsored, create your own schedule / live wherever you want, possibly start your own business, which means being self-employed, which is another bonus, travel opportunities, ask for help from your audience, like Google, but better. You get special treatment sometimes if they know you. And for me, accountability and support. And then obviously everything's documented.
Yeah.
So those are our top 10
That's our
reasons.
top 10 reasons. So Aubrie and I are going to keep doing these like top 10 reasons to be, or top 10s.
It's just top 10. It could literally be top 10 everything. I have a list that's just running like.
And so obviously if we do like a pro, we'll do the top 10 cons, if you will. So we'll do the top 10 reasons to not be an influencer next week, I guess.
But if you have any other suggestions, please
Yeah, if you want to know
let us know.
if you have any suggestions for top 10s, whether that's top 10 marriage advice, top 10
reasons to have a kid, reasons not to have a kid,
right?
top 10 Netflix shows.
That'd be hard. It's just top 10 shows. I don't know if I could just do Netflix solely on Netflix.
Top 10 reasons to download Tinder right now.
Because you may find someone like me.
You might get married. You never know. All right, we closing up.
Yeah,
Closing
I don't
up
know.
shop. Somebody asked a question earlier about YouTube, like whose idea was
maybe
it?
we'll just like go through the questions real quick before
There's
we
only one.
Yeah. Someone just said, question, which of you decided to start your YouTube channel back in the day? Was it one of you or both of you?
It was Brad. Hands down. It was Brad. Mostly it was because he wanted a way to answer questions like easily. So we kept getting the same questions from either like friends that we knew in person or let's say on Instagram when we had pretty small followings. It's like, what do you eat? What do you do for your workouts?
How do you track macros?
Why
things
do
like
you
that.
look the way you do and still eat, junk food?
So we were able to like make those videos and then just link people to those videos instead of like answering the same question over and over again. And a lot of them are like too in depth to like type out like, how do you track macros? Like that's a long question. Or what are macros? Like, and you gotta remember this was 2016. So people definitely have like a firmer grasp on macro tracking and things like that now. But 6 years ago, people did not,
Yeah. It was not as common.
And there were not like macro friendly recipes. Like now I feel like you can make anything macro friendly. But I will tell you this too. If you want to make something macro friendly, just find the low fat, fat free, low carb version of whatever you're trying to make.
Sugar free.
It's like people are like, oh, how do you make a healthy burger? It's like, oh, well, use the leanest meat you can, either 96.4 beef or a mixture of 96.4 beef and 99.1 ground turkey. Use a fat-free Kraft single on there. Use like thinner buns, and there you go. That's like way more like I guess less calories than a 70-30 ground beef hamburger. So if people act like it's rocket science and magic and that they can't tell you how they're doing these secret things, but it's just like find the low-calorie version of everything, or make your own.
Yeah.
Like sauces and stuff are just like so much.
Just look at the nutrition.
Well, Chick-fil-A sauce, like it's like 150 calories in that little thing. So
yeah, but
anyway.
It's good.
And someone thought the number one thing was discounts, but discounts / free stuff is kind of like what we meant by that first one. So I mean, it's definitely a perk, but it's not like the best and only reason to do it. I said that. What were the few things you really wanted a sponsorship of when we like started fitness stuff?
We really wanted to be sponsored by P Science. I do remember that. I wanted to be sponsored by a clothing company for sure because that was like a big thing. Gymshark did it, really. It was Gymshark at the time. Trying to think. I mean, like Halo Top was a big deal, I feel like, back then.
Yeah, I remember when they sent us ice cream.
But I didn't have like a company that was like, that never worked out, I guess. Did you?
Yeah, I've never been sponsored by a clothing company. So I had to make my own.
Now you're definitely sponsored.
I actually joke about that a lot. I was like, for the amount of followers I have, a lot of guys like with even 20 and 30,000 followers are sponsored by clothing companies. And I was always like, I'm kind of weird that I never got sponsored. But also the only reason I have followers is like trickle down from you a lot of times.
Several companies though like have sent you things, but yeah, it's not like a full sponsorship.
Yeah.
So I would say that, that is kind of strange.
Yeah. But I'm washed up. Aubrey and I are joking that we're like washed up influencers, which we'll talk about in our not
next
top 10,
week.
but the whole life of an influencer, life cycle. But I hope you guys enjoyed the You're Worth It podcast. We will start doing these weekly, maybe twice a week, because if we're only going to do 30 minutes, that might make Aubrie do 2 of them in a week. It'd be fun to film both, like not like pros and cons in 1 week, but
we'll see.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
This is my podcast.
Well, I had to drag you onto it, so pretty interesting.
Everybody, this is Aubrey's podcast. Brad is my guest, and everybody clap and say thank you.
Am I a permanent guest?
This is my permanent guest.
Okay.
Maybe in the future we'll have.
Everyone clap. Look at that. Okay.
All right.
You're worth
Signing
it.
out. You're worth it.